Greetings from Telltale, a podcast of English and Hindi short stories. Today I, Ranjit Pawar, bring to you a tragic story. I died in 1947. The story is written by me. So much happened during the partition of the country in 1947. And the worst sufferers were women, as always. This story recounts one of the tragic stories about a woman abducted and taken across the border. Jamila looked out of the window as the train chugged through a kaleidoscope of green wheat fields, mud houses and peepal trees. Nothing much seemed to have changed in the last 11 years. Farmers drove oxen to draw water from wells, while groups of women sat on their haunches reaping fodder for cattle. Buffaloes bathed contentedly in muddy village ponds, little naked urchins riding their backs, waving excitedly at the train, their wet brown skins glistening in the sun. Jamila peered harder at the boys. Did Billa play in the village pond with his friends likewise? How silly of me, as though he is still 4. He must be a strapping 15-year-old lad now. A dull pain gnawed at Jamila's heart. Did he go to school or help his father in the fields? Had he grown tall like his grandfather or taken after his short and stocky father? Ammi, I'm thirsty. Rashida tugged at her dupatta. The half-asleep infant in her lap let out a protesting howl as she poured out some water for her young daughter. How much time is left for us to reach Sarhand, son? Asked Fatima. Not long now. You had better collect your luggage, answered Javed. There was a commotion in the train compartment as people pulled out their beddings, tin trunks and cloth bags, crowding near the doors as the train drew into the platform with a long wailing whistle. Many were first-time visitors to the 7-year-old India, while for others, it was a revisit after their exodus to Pakistan in 1947. The small group of Pakistani pilgrims travelling to pay homage at the Roza Sharif in Fatehgarh Sahib stepped out onto the railway platform, looking around curiously. Jamila looked around at the turbaned sardars, little boys with top knots and faces of Indian actresses on large hoardings. Watch your step, woman, before you trip along with the child, remonstrated Fatima. Where have we come, Amma? Rashida asked her grandmother. We have come to Hindustan, replied Fatima. What is Hindustan? We lived here earlier. Then why did we go away? Because bad people here burned our houses and tried to kill us. Jamila squirmed, blood rushing to her face. Why frighten the child, Ammi? Allah will make them pay. Javed watched Jamila's face intently, daring her to retort. They will all burn in hell. I have forgotten nothing. Never would I have set foot in this cursed land again, had your dead father not made a mannat to pay homage at the Roza Sharif for safe passage across the border during the riots. Devout Muslims from over the world traveled to Sarhand to attend the annual 3-day Urs at the Hazrat Mujaddid Al-Fasani Dargah. Jamila and her family, along with other pilgrims, were housed in a school near the Dargah. They ate at the community dinner organized by the government, proceeding to their rooms soon after. Jamila unrolled the beds on the hay-covered floor and tucked in the sleeping children. Exhausted by the journey, Javed and Fatima lay down in their makeshift beds. "You have been very quiet," Javed said accusingly. "No, just putting the children to sleep. What is there to say?" Jamila replied tersely. "I made a mistake bringing you here. If it hadn't been for Abba's Manat." "Stop your whispering and go to sleep, both of you. We must be up for the Fajr namaz and proceed to the Urs thereafter. And Jamila, don't step out alone," warned Fatima gruffly. Javed and Fatima were snoring in no time. Jamila crept out of the room without making a sound. She reached out for her burqa out of habit, discarding it when she remembered she was in India. Wrapping her shawl securely around her, Jamila stepped out of the school building and on the road lit by foggy streetlights. Only a few people were out in the freezing winter night, with a couple of street dogs curled up in nooks and corners, too cold to bark at anyone. Unaccustomed to stepping out alone after dark, Jamila should have been afraid. Yet she walked on unhesitatingly, with not a thought about any lurking dangers in the dark streets of an unfamiliar foreign city. Hesitating at the next turn, Jamila wondered if she was on the right lane. The city had grown. Old buildings had given way to new shops and houses. She tried to spot familiar landmarks to navigate her way to Ucha Mohalla. Here it was. Her heart beat wildly inside her chest as she gasped for air, more out of panic than fatigue. The grand double-storied yellow house with canopied windows and a high carved blue door loomed up in front of her. Should she knock on the door or turn back? Would she even be allowed inside? Nevertheless, could she come all the way to Hindustan and return, not meeting Bilal? Mustering up courage, she stepped up and knocked on the door with the heavy iron rings hanging on the panel. She waited as her mouth went dry with anxiety. Why did no one answer? Had the family already gone to sleep? Some light filtered in through the door, so they must be awake. A street dog barked nearby as she knocked again. Her heart seemed to stop in her chest as she heard footsteps inside the courtyard. The door opened with a heavy creak. A young woman peered out of the half-open door, giving her a baffled look. "I am sorry, I cannot place you. Who do you want to meet?" I want to meet Maji." "Oh, please do come in." Jamila stepped into the courtyard, looking around at the familiar open kitchen in the corner, the neem tree with a large woven bed under it, the wooden sandook and stack of earthen vessels in the veranda. Do sit down, sister. Where are you from? You don't seem to be from this area. The woman looked curiously at Jamila's clothes. Jamila was still fumbling for an answer when an older woman walked out of an adjacent room. Who is here at this late hour, Sito? Is all well? Jamila bent down to touch the old lady's feet, bursting out in sobs. Margie, it's I. Getting a closer look at Jamila in the dim light, the lady's face went ashen. Bant Kaur, is this really you? Are you alive? How did you get here? Yes, Margie. It is your unfortunate Bant Kaur. We are here to pay obeisance at the Rosa Sharif. Oh, so you are a Muslimani now. We took you for dead. Why retrace your steps to this house after so many years? Stay happy where you are. Margie, being a Muslimani was not for me to choose, just as it was not my choice to be abducted and taken across the border like cattle. Did I choose to leave my home, family, and country? Did I choose to be violated and forced into another marriage and religion? Many self-respecting women preferred death to dishonor. Did you find no well or pond to hide your shame? Spat out the matriarch. I did not want to die. I wanted to live for myself, for my son. Does not Gurbani forbid taking one's life? I waited for Billa's father to find me and bring me back home, but no one came. I was held captive in Miyawali and had no way to leave. Have you forgotten about my son Teja's sense of honor and his uncontrollable anger? How would he, the proud Sardar who has never laid feet on a soiled sheet, take back a soiled woman? You are lucky he's out of town tonight, or something untoward might have happened with you and your Muslim family. It's best that you leave now. Margie, maybe I would have been spared this horror if Billa's father had not snatched this house and property from Javed, inciting him to abduct me in revenge. Please, I beg of you, let me meet Billa once. My heart has been bleeding for my son. I will take just one look at him and return. And what will you tell him about yourself? I brought home Sito as Jita's wife after you were gone, and she is the only mother Billa has known. He believes you to be dead. How will you face him as you are? A fallen woman living with a Muslim after having renounced her faith? Sito stood listening to the exchange between the two women. She could see the striking resemblance between Bant Kaur and Billa. Both were of fair complexion with greenish blue eyes, the reason for his name. Giving her mother-in-law a defiant look, Sito stepped up to hug Jamila, wiping away her tears. Billy, come out here, son. There is someone to meet you, she called out loudly. A young, handsome lad of 16 walked into the courtyard. Touch her feet, son. She is my sister and your aunt. Jamila looked at Bilal, hugged and blessed him, smiling through her tears. Drawing out some currency from her purse to give him, she realized that the notes had Jinnah's face on them. May your husband and brothers live long, sister. May your son be a dutiful son to you. I take your leave now. She turned towards Sito. No, no, sister. I won't allow you to leave without eating something. Jamila hugged Sito with a sad, ironic smile. If my escapade is discovered, I will have to pay heavily for it, sister. 2 other small children wait for me. I am the dead pawn on the chessboard that must continue to breathe. Jamila walked out of the door with one last tear-blurred look at her son.